With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Z101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of ZTV and the innovative realms of Z Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Z Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the new-founded newspaper now under the Z Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Z Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Hello and welcome to I Have a Story to Tell on ZFM 101.9. And I am Fritz Balfour, your host, and my guest today is a superlative creative, a sculptor, and her name is Gladys Adeniran. Welcome to the program, Gladys.
Thank you.
Today you're on I Have a Story to Tell. You're going to tell us your story. And we're going to also play some selections that you've made of your favorite tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got to tell us your story. You're a sculptor. You've got to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay.
So this is ZFM 101.9, and the program is I Have a Story to Tell. My name is Fritz Balfour, and my guest is Gladys Adeniran, who is a sculptor and a creative. So, where were you born? Tell us about your early days.
My name is Gladys, like you said, Adeniran. I'm born in Accra, family of 5. I have 3 sisters, Emefa, Kafui, Enyonam. We had a brother we lost early on. Growing up, by 4 years, I lived in Kumasi with an uncle who was the director for the museums in Kumasi.
Oh, really?
So I believe that my interest in creatives and artworks might have stemmed from there. Apart from that, the Adinyora family is a family of very creative people. Painters, tailors, decorators, seamstresses, and so on. My father, for example, sew our clothes, sew trousers, sew the curtains in the house. Those days, the cushion covers, and so on. So, growing up, it was all around me. Art was everywhere. My older siblings could draw very well, so you aspire to draw like them. And that was, I believe, the foundations for me for becoming interested in creating things.
I want to ask you, so the Adinyora family, where did they originate from in Ghana?
The Adinyora family comes from Amejope in the Volta region.
The mountains.
The mountains, yes. Our grandfather was a reverend minister who, like the family members said, they were the ones who were the real evangelists, walking on foot into the hinterland to spread the gospel.
That's very
So
interesting.
we are stock from Reverend Adinyora, and it's something we are proud of in the town, that he, broke away from, excuse me to say, the pagan side of the family, became baptized, and then started his ministry.
I see. So you are from a very religious background, whether it is traditional or it is Christian. Yeah, so you were telling us about your early days in Kumasi, surrounded by art and creativity and all that kind of thing. So what school did you go to, and can you tell us about your early days in school?
In Kumasi, it was a nursery school.
All right.
And then my parents were abroad then. So when they came back, my mother came for my sister and I, my younger sister, and we came back to Accra with her. Those days on the train, the Kumasi to Accra train, which was an exciting experience. And then we came to University of Ghana, Aido Circle. So my father was a lecturer, School of Administration. He was a French lecturer for many years. So the university environment also made me. It was a close-knit environment. Your neighbors, everyone was, you could go to anyone's house. We played together, riding bicycles. And there also, there was a creative, because Sunday school, you would act plays for Christmas and all that. And at home, also, always painting or doing something creative. My mother knitted, and a whole lot of creativity around you. So that was the foundation. From Tashinungwa, from University of Ghana, Legon campus, we moved to Tashinungwa Estates. At that time, that was 69, 70, the Buzia regime.
Right.
My father was an MP in the opposition now party.
Yeah.
So he left the University of Ghana and we moved to Tashinungwa Estates. At the time, Tashinungwa Estates was just opening up. There again, we interacted with our neighbors because it was a new place and we had to support each other. So my childhood is from Kumasi to University of Ghana campus and then to Tashinungwa.
So all very controlled environments.
Yes.
In reality. I just want to add something that Tashinungwa, the estate, was originally the science city slated by Kwame Nkrumah, where we're going to have our scientists and our researchers and everything living there. Really? That's why it was originally planned.
Yeah.
And I think after the overthrow, they changed the way it was supposed to be set up, and it became a place for the general public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
residencies.
All right. Now, you've told us a little bit about your early days. And so, what was the first song that you selected? So that we have a small musical break.
The first one was Darwin Hobbs. He's able.
He's able.
He's able.
Yes.
Okay. It's a religious song,
Yeah.
naturally. All right.
Z 101.9 FM.
All you could ask for came according to the power that worketh in you. God is able to do just what He said He would do. He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, 'cause He won't give up on you. He's able. How many believe it tonight? Yeah, yeah. He's able. Thank you, Jesus. Come on, y'all. I need y'all to help me sing. God is able to do just what He said He would do. He's gonna fulfill every promise. Yeah. Don't give up on God. Tell somebody, 'cause He won't give up on you. He's able. Woo! I believe it tonight. Yeah, He's able. Somebody shout tonight. He's able. Hallelujah. We're going up. God is able to do just what He said He would do. He's gonna fulfill. Yeah. Every promise to you. Tell somebody, don't give up. 'Cause He won't. Here we go. He's able. Yeah. Somebody shout again. Here we go. He's able. Yeah. I'm gonna sing this, and then y'all sing. Oh, 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 He's able. Y'all sing. Come on, take it up. Oh, 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 He's able. Y'all sing. Yeah. Y'all sing. I'm going up. Oh, 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 He's
101.9 FM. 101.9 FM.
Z 101.9 FM. And the program on air is I Have a Story to Tell. My name is Fritz Bafor. I'm your host. And my guest today is a sculptor and a creative, Gladys Adejinra. And she's been telling us of her early days, where she was born in Accra, spent some years in Kumasi as a child, and then joined her dad, who was a lecturer at the University of Ghana in Legon. And so she had a bit of the university brat life. And then she moved on to Teshidungwa, and that's where we stopped. But she did tell us that she was brought up with creativity around her. She saw her parents do a lot of creative things, sew, paint, draw, and all that. So Teshinungwa, you moved there from Legon, and what was it like?
Like you said, a closed environment. You knew everybody. You knew everybody's parents. And those days, there was hardly any transport going to Teshinungwa. So if you had to go to town by yourself, you stood at the junction and you knew by all means your friend's father or mother will pass and you get a vehicle to take you to town. When you're coming back to, you stood where you have La Palm Royal Hotel.
Yeah.
You stood there and just looked out for a friend's or a mom's car, and you knew that you go home. And I come to think of it, it was a very protected environment. So you trusted people because the next person was a familiar face and it was your friend's parents and that kind of thing. So I guess now looking back, I realized that it was a privilege to be there and be in such a safe environment.
Yeah. So you lived in Teshinungwa,
Yes.
and then you were in school, naturally primary and whatever school you were, pre-secondary. Then you went to secondary school.
Yes.
Which secondary school did you go to? I have
Best
to ask
girls'
that.
school in Ghana, Ebri Girls.
Ebri Girls.
Yes,
Okay.
Ebri Girls Secondary School. 5 years of my teenage years there. Very exciting. Made friends who are still friends. You know, you live with someone for 5 years and you don't forget your roommates and all that. Ebri Girls molded us into the young women we are today. More on values, you know, valuing and respecting order, having a good sense of moral values, even for yourself, your integrity. Yes. So, till date, you are doing something, it's like someone says, when you get to the red light at midnight and there's nobody, would you cross it? You still stop because it's imbibed in you. And so that was Ebri for me. And then after Ebri Girls, I thought I should, before sixth form, I was on an AFS program, American Field Service exchange program. I was in Wisconsin for a year. So after O levels, I went to 12th grade in Hilbert High School in Wisconsin.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
You know, it was strange. Half the time you're homesick. I always was looking for pepper to eat. So the family, the Bremes, would take me quite a distance so I could eat Mexican food.
Right.
Yes, so a little spicy food. And till date, we are still in touch. And 2 years ago, I visited them, and we've been visiting. They've become more like family. Sadly, my host dad passed more than 20 years ago, and my host mom passed just this year. And
It was
you know,
wrenching for you.
yeah,
Heart-wrenching.
Yes, because I told myself I wanted to see her again before she passed. She was 93.
Oh.
And anytime I called her, she would say, Gladys, I'm 93. When am I seeing you? So 2023, summertime, I visited them for 3 months. And then I come back a year or so, a little over a year, and she passes. I'm glad I went to see her because they were very good to me. Imagine you are the only African in the whole of Accra.
Yeah.
And they did not make me feel, different. She treated me like one of her kids, and sometimes I forgot I was black. you know, but that experience made me realize that, when you are not amongst your people, you crave. I used to crave to see black skin. So sometimes mom will say, oh, we are going to Milwaukee this weekend. I won't sleep. And when we go to Milwaukee, there you'd find some of the African Americans, and I was so happy just to see black skin. So sometimes going out there is difficult. You don't see, you're in the minority, you don't get the food you want, you're not hearing your kind of music, even your language. You don't hear your language, and after a while I was speaking to my sister who was living in Philadelphia then, and I realized I couldn't speak my language because you're amongst these people and you're speaking like them all the time. But it was a great experience, and I guess it prepared me for public speaking because I had to be making presentations representing Ghana, promoting your country. So it was a good experience. So after AFS, I come back and Americanized. And
Right.
I come and I think I want to experience a mixed school. So I went to Ukwapeman Secondary School, met a whole host of wonderful people.
I've always wanted to ask, when you go to a girls' school and then you go to a mixed school, what kind of impact does it have on your bearing as a young girl?
At first I thought that going to a mixed school would be, the boys and how you mix with them. But for me, what I realized was that the girls from girls' school were very bold, very upfront. Most of the girls I met in Ukwas were timid, sometimes teased into not coming out of the shell and being who they really were. I went to Ukwas and realized that the female students would hardly even eat in the dining hall. But for my Ebri girls, you'd eat your food. We had lower sixth formers who were from St. Rose's, Wesley girls, and you did what you had to do. And in a girls' school, no one is thinking about boys looking at me. So you did what you had to do, but they were very different. So when we went to Ukwas, they thought we were too much.
All right.
The lower sixth girls were too much. It was a good experience. Then you had the chance to, let me say, compete with the boys. And that also gave you another level of confidence because you realized that it was the same. It wasn't as if the boys were doing much better than the girls in the class. Good experience there. And I might add, for the first time in the history of Ukwapeman Secondary School, maybe you were too bold, they had to vote for the school prefect, girls prefect, because they realized that the girls who had come were bolder and more confident in leading. So I became the first non-Ukwapeman student to become a girls prefect in Ukwapeman Secondary School.
My God.
Yeah.
Then I'm before a celebrity. This is ZFM 101.9, and the program is I Have a Story to Tell. And I'm Fritz Bafour. My guest is Gladys Adinyira, who is a sculptor and a creative. And she's been telling us a story from Kumasi right through to the University of Ghana, where she lived with her father, who was a lecturer, to Tishi Nungwa, and how she used to hitch rides into Accra and back because Tishi was out of Accra. It was a real suburb. And then she went to America with the AFS, American Field Service, where he spent a year with an American family. And she was in Wisconsin, which is an all-white area. I mean, it still is to some extent. And then she tells us about Aburi girls, and then she's gone to Ukwapeman, where she's now the girls prefect. But what I want to ask you now is that in all this, you've told us about the influence your environment had when you were earlier on in your life, in terms of your creative muse.
Yeah.
Now, all these experiences of going to America and Ukwapeman or Aburi girls and Ukwapeman, what did it do for your creative muse? I mean, your creativity.
In Wisconsin, the arts department had a host of disciplines. I did jewelry, ceramics, sculpture, painting, drawing. So by the time I was coming back, I had been introduced to other disciplines that I had not done in Ebri Girls. In Ebri Girls, I did textiles and then painting, drawing and painting. That was basically it. So in Okwas, and thanks to Mr. Fori and Mr. J, who were my art teachers, they made me realize that you could learn art like you learned any other subject. They did not believe you were born with it. If anything, they don't believe you were born with it. If anything, it is there and it has to be brought out. So Mr. Fori was my drawing and painting teacher, and he took us through drawing and painting as if you were learning to write an essay. So this is the way you draw a head. You start with a basic shape. The shape transforms into, you add the eyes, the nose, and so on. So when I'm teaching my students, I tell them, you learn how to do it. You learn how to paint. You learn how to mix your colors. You learn how to draw the shapes, and the shapes become form. So I see things in shapes and forms rather than the object. So as I'm looking at you, I'm seeing circles, cylinders, not the whole. Then you can put them together and it becomes a composition. So Okwas taught me that you could learn how to paint. You could learn how to design fabric. Mr. J was our textiles teacher, and wow, we created some textiles that we couldn't believe.
Tie and dye, wax print, what was it?
Wax print.
Yeah.
And it looked like, I can bet you it looked like something from ATL.
Really?
Yes, Mr. J was good. And wherever he is, and Mr. Ofori, I thank them, because it opened my eyes to realize that it's not just anything you're doing, but there was a more serious aspect to it. And that helped me a lot.
Great. So then you became the girls' prefect.
Yes.
In a school that was not used to girls, strong, confident girls from very good girls' schools. So how was the experience?
There was a different culture in Okwas from Ebri. Obviously, with Mrs. Esibe's training, you couldn't slack on certain things. For example, you couldn't go to classes without having done your housework and haven't done this or that. So we brought that to Okwas. And I guess because of the kind of strict nature of our training in Ebri, the new prefects who had come, the students felt we were too strict. And they even used to sing songs, we will soon stop what we are doing. Yeah. And we were also determined that we will not stop. We will change that culture. And I'm happy to say that we did change it, because after so many years, I met someone who said, you inspired me to do this and that. And I said, wow, because I did not realize that I was inspiring anyone. So it was a good experience, and I'm glad I went to a mixed school, because I had the opportunity to see what it was in a girls' school and then what it was in a mixed school.
That's excellent. So you spent your time girls' prefect. That's high up. The creme de la creme in a school, to be feared, to be respected, and also to inspire. Yeah. So after that, what did you do?
After Ukwapiman Secondary School, then at the time when we had to enter the university, the universities had been closed down by J.J. Rawlings. So we were the first batch of sixth formers to start doing national service.
Okay.
So my first posting was to Nungwa Secondary School. Lucky for me, it was close to Teshinungwa Estate, so it was easy to go. And I was teaching English literature. And that opened me up to realizing that I could impart knowledge. Because you meet students and you teach them something, and the joy of it was seeing that they got it, they were doing better, and they were improving. So after that sixth form service, I think we did it for some 10 months. It wasn't up to a year.
All
Then
right.
the universities were open. So then I went to Tech, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I had the option to do drama at School of Performing Arts, University of Ghana, and also to do law. I thought about all three options and decided I wanted to leave Accra. Let me see what Kumasi will bring, because then as a child I was in Kumasi. So let me see what Kumasi will bring. So myself and a friend, Leslie Dazi, we took the state transport, excited. Verna Vanderpoy. She's a
Right.
doctor now. And we went to Kumasi to start our life on campus, which was also so exciting.
So you'll tell us about that. But meantime, what was the second selection? What? Oh, another
Faithful.
religious. You're
Yeah.
showing that you are the grandchild of a reverend. All right.
It's more the lyrics, you know.
Okay. So, faithfully, Father. Oh, faithful is our
Yeah.
God.
God, yeah.
All right.
Z 101.9 FM.
Clap your hands, everybody. Come on. If God's been faithful, then sing along with us. Everybody say faithful. 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 Faithful is our God. Come on, all over the world. Faithful. Say faithful. Faithful is our God. Come on, say faithful. 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 Faithful is our God. Yes, he is. Come on, say faithful. Faithful. Faithful is our God. I'm reaping the harvest. Take back what the devil stole from me. And I rejoice today. For I shall recover it all. Yes, I rejoice today. Everybody say faithful. Faithful. Faithful is our God. Say faithful. So faithful. Everybody say faithful. Faithful. Faithful is our God. I'm reaping the harvest God promised me. Take back what the devil and I rejoice today. I shall recover. Yes, I'll rejoice today. I shall recover. Everybody say holy, 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 holy is our God. Everybody say holy, 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 holy is our God. I'm reaping the harvest God promised me. Take back what the devil and I rejoice today. Hey. I shall recover. Yes, I rejoice today. I shall recover. Everybody
It's your
say
lifestyle,
Jesus.
leisure, and business radio.
Jesus is our God. Come on, say Jesus.
101.9 FM.
Jesus is
Faithful is our God, and that was a selection by my guest, Gladys Adijara, who is a sculptor and a creative. She's been telling us of her life journey. Born in Accra, grew up a little bit in Kumasi, came to Accra back in, lived at the University of Ghana, where her father was a lecturer. He later became an MP in the Second Republic. And she went to America on the AFS scholarship exchange program from Aburi Girls, and then was at Okapaman, where she became the girls' prefect. So she is somebody who should be feared because she went to Aburi Girls. And most Aburi Girls, alumni I meet are pretty stirred, though some of them have a sense of humor. And she's told us a story, and she actually is a granddaughter of a reverend minister, I think in the EP Church. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, because I know something about that. She did her national service. At the time, sixth formers did national service at Dunsek or Dungwa Secondary School, which is not far from her home at the time, and she taught English literature. And then she decided, against other options, to go and do art at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. So take it from there, my dear lady Gladys Adinyara, my guest for today.
In Kumasi, for the first time, well, after AFS, being on your own, you found yourself on your own. You had to have your schedules right, get to your lecture hall on time, do your assignments. Those were a lot of sleepless nights. And College of Art was, it was exciting for me because for the first time, I was surrounded by artists, you know, and it was challenging to the extent that you had to prove yourself as an artist also. So it was hard work. You had to get it right. Again in tech, first year, foundation year, you were taken through all the disciplines. So you do sculpture, ceramics, painting, textiles, graphics, metals. And then when we went to, when we got to this, I think first year, they introduced book publishing. So a few of our colleagues opted to do that because that was 3 years, and they said they would leave school earlier. So some of them opted for that. And so after the first year, when you've been taken through all the disciplines, then in the second year, you had to choose your major and your elective. I hadn't done any sculpture before, but when we went to the sculpture section, because you stay in each section for some weeks and you create something from there. At the sculpture section, I enjoyed what we did, you know, and I believe I'm a more hands-on person, a 3D. I want to feel the thing and, you know, see it. So at the end of the year, there was a list that would be put up and you had to write your name, which section you want to go to. And it was only my name at sculpture, and everyone was laughing because they thought I was making a joke of it. Because in those days, ladies were not doing sculpture. So when I wrote my name there, they all thought I was just making a joke.
Why did ladies do sculpture?
For some reason, it was hard. At that time, that's what they said, that you had to carry bags of cement, the wood to carve, and it was physical,
Right.
you know. And so it was all males there. I was told that a few years before me, there was one lady who had done it. So no one believed I was going to do it. So come the next year, I go to sculpture department, and they are wondering, are you serious? Are you going to do this? And at the time, the late Professor Azi Akato was our dean.
Right.
And he was a sculptor. And he was even surprised I had chosen it. So he asked me, are you sure you want to do this? I said, yeah, I want to do it. But, you know, even my mates were all asking me, are you sure that is what you want to do? Do textiles, do this, do that. But it was hard because everyone felt you were in the wrong place. And sometimes the lecturers will call you and ask you whether you're sure this is where you want to be. I say, yeah, this is where I want to be. I'm comfortable here. And I thank the gentlemen I met there, not to miss out anyone. I just want to remind them the group of sculptors that came to the sculpture garden to do that vacation training. I thank them because they made me comfortable. They encouraged me. We had 3 gentlemen from Winneba who also joined us in the second year, and they were also helpful. So I thank them for making my experience in the sculpture session worthwhile, and it was worth it. I got the chance to work in wood, and I love carving in wood. You're carving and you're seeing the grains of wood, and you smell that wood. And Kumasi is wood, so
Right.
it was very exciting carving in wood. Clay, you modeled in clay, and those days POP was not this common.
Right.
So if you saw POP, it was something
That's
else.
plaster of Paris.
Plaster of Paris.
Which is also a medium in which where you use to sculpt and come up with forms. Isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes. So those days when the dean had a contract and he was going to use POP, you all had to come and look at it because you might not see POP again. But thank God now it's all over the place. And tech also, again, developed my leadership skills. I was Africa Hall president. And I don't know, but when anyone who went to file would ask who are here already, who is here already. And as soon as my name is mentioned, they don't take the forms anymore. So I stood unopposed.
Intimidating.
Yes. I stood unopposed, and I thank those who filled, because it was a group of ladies who filled the nomination forms for me. I thank them for the trust they had in me and to believe that I could do it. So
Now,
I was Africa Hall president.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You've talked about the academia and all that. But university life is, if to use the Ghana word, uche free. So what was
yes.
it like, your social life? Did you dance? Did you go
Yes.
out on Johnson and all that? Tell us about that.
It was, there was, what's the name now? Clubhouse.
Right.
They used to have parties in the clubhouse. And, when you're dancing this celebration,
Yeah.
then one of the guys would shout, "Whose father is here to say what?" In the dance, you hear, "Whose father is here to say what?" And everyone will say, "Yay!"
That means that you had
there
nobody.
no one was here to tell you that. Someone said, "I have the key to my own room. You are not going to go knock your gate and your father will say, 'Why are you now coming?'" Like,
Right.
"Whose father is here to say what?" So it was fun. And, we had to, when we were in first, second, third year, I think it was in the final year that we started cooking on our own.
Right.
So we were one of the groups that enjoyed being fed in the university, and you met in the dining hall, and it was nice. Breakfast time, you'd meet the other ladies in the hall before you all went out. And there were spots that you used to meet, like Unity Hall. There's in front that they call Always Around. And, as ladies, because we wanted to experience the university life, we didn't realize that ladies did not sit there.
Oh, I see.
So we go and we sit there. First year students, we had come. We wanted to experience everything. And we go and sit there. And as we are sitting there, anyone who passes is looking at us. Looking at us. Only for us to realize that, they have this thing they call Power Night. And they
Right.
said, the choirs were going to sing. That's what they told us.
All right.
So we are all seated waiting. There's about 3 of us. And we were saying, what pair were you be? Where are the other ladies? So our mates from Okwas who were in Unity Hall said, "Hey, you people came for this?" And I said, "Is it not the choir singing?" Then they will laugh. When they started, the kind of songs they sing at the Power Nights. And yes, and we were sitting there and we couldn't leave. So we had to be part of it.
So you learned the rude songs,
Yes.
the rockers.
Yes. And the amazing thing is, they are all church tunes. Eh?
Yes.
They're all church tunes.
I know a couple of them, but I'm not going to sing them here.
Yeah, so that was a good experience, let me say that. So the next year, when the first year is going to say, don't attend that power night. It's not choir singing. It's something else altogether. And made a few friends, you know, who up till now, we communicate, we are in touch. And it's all good. It all helped in the experience and being, like I said, for me, Okwas was that stage where I had a chance to be a leader. And it has helped me. Mm-hmm.
So now you're president of the whole. What did it entail being the president of the whatever? You know, I didn't go to tech, so you're telling me about that you're the whole president. So what did you do? I mean, what were your responsibilities and how did you go around, go about, you know, doing your work?
The main thing was organizing the dinners that we'll have at the end of the year, and then at least 2 activities with Unity Hall. At that time, it was a male hall we used to do activities with.
Yes.
So that was mainly the thing. So you met the executive from Unity Hall and you planned these things. That was the main thing. And of course, I got my single room when others had to share. So from second year, I had a single room till I left.
And what was the advantage of having a single room?
You're quiet to learn. Your roommate is not going to be coming in and out. Nobody is narrowing you. So you had your peace. And I was on the 8th floor. And you know, the 8th floor is quiet because if you're coming on the 8th floor, you really have to come. So it was a quiet spot.
You had to climb up.
You have to climb up. Mm-hmm. So it was a quiet floor. And I loved it. So you could do your work. You had all the time to do it with no disturbance from roommates.
I know KNUST is, at that time, was was about 4 miles from Kumasi town. Did you have any opportunity of going to Kumasi, and did you see the wonderful cultural sites and properties that are in that wonderful town?
You know, surprisingly, we hardly went into town. I started going into town when we had to start feeding ourselves. So you had to go to the market. Otherwise, we were fed, everything was on campus, and I hardly went. And even when you went around, what do you call it? Edum, the
Right.
center, yes. So I didn't really know Kumasi town. Our whole lives were on campus.
So you didn't go to the cultural center, you didn't go to where they did the cloth and all that?
No, but then when I left Kumasi, when I left Tech, then I had the opportunity to go and exhibit at the cultural center.
Oh, I see.
So then I said, oh, I was in Kumasi for 4 years. I never came here. I left Kumasi before I came to this place.
Okay. So let's talk about Tech. So you did your 3 years, the 4th year. What was it like?
Oh, it
I
was
mean,
hard.
knowing very well that you've got to get your graduate, you got to graduate, and then you've got to start a new life.
Yeah.
What were your expectations?
Yeah, final year was hard. It was hard. You know, sculpture students are those students who everyone leaves on campus because you're still carving that work. You haven't finished the work and it has to be done. And, you know, it's taking you several weeks to complete one work. And for an exhibition, you should have, you know, a spread of works in various materials. You must have wood, cement, clay. And those days, we used to model straight with cement. So, you know, you can hardly make a mistake because it will become hard. So you had to have that precision in doing that work. I think from about 3rd year, I was never home for Christmas or Easter. You're still in school working.
And what did your parents think of that?
Well, they knew I had to be in school.
Did they visit you in school?
No, not when I was in the university. In the secondary school, yes, but in the university, no. The university did, no.
So how did you cope?
You know, I went to the university with one of my mates from Okwas. That's Dr. Vanderpoy, Werner
Yeah.
Vanderpoy. And then you met other mates who you were in Ebri Girls with. So you made new friends. And that also became another family of, you know, individuals who you had to carve out a life for yourself on campus. In those days, you find a telephone somewhere, call home, and ask for money. So once you had money, once you had money to, you know, eat, you were fine.
Tell them about postal orders and the fact that there were no mobile phones and
No.
use the rotary phone or the phone box. Tell them about. Tell my listeners.
There's nothing like mobile phones. If you could get a phone, then you are lucky to go to one office at administration and go and beg the secretary to make a call. Or you had someone, there was a pharmacy student who used to go to Ho. At the time, my mother was living in Ho. She had a maternity home there.
Right.
So anytime he's going, then I'll write a letter. And he'll take it to my mom, and when he's coming back, my mother will send him the provisions and all that. So you could not easily communicate. So I'd write letters home and say, I'm not coming for Christmas, I have to finish my work. So sometimes after that, I'll come home for about a week, and school's reopening, I go back. And it was like that.
Tell them about the airmail letters that you used to, the blue ones that you used to write in order to get first class mail.
Yes, and those ones had, is it blue and red at the edges?
That's right.
Yes, so the envelope was designed that way with the red and blue stripes at the edge, and those ones were going abroad.
Right.
So you wrote the letter, and I guess in about a week, it will be received, and then you were waiting for your reply.
Right. Okay, so you spent your very lonely fourth year studying
Oh, yes.
and trying to cram for
Yeah.
your final exams. And what was it like at the end of it all?
It was good. It was good because I struggled. When I say I struggled, if it took the guys 3 weeks to complete a carving, it would take me a week more because, you know, it was a physical thing. And so by the time I finished, I was one of the last people to finish. By the time I finished, most of them had left and gone home. And I remember the dean came to the studio once and said, "Hey, are you still here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm finishing my work." So after that, everyone had left. Then I mounted the work and left. Happy to say I passed and waited for graduation. Yeah, I think.
So what was graduation like? Because you see, I have to say this. I was brought up on the university campus, Kane University campus. And one of the most fascinating times was the graduation ceremony, the convocation,
Yes.
where you saw all these people in their gowns
Yes.
and their names are called and they walk up and they take their scrolls and everything. And I really wanted to do that. But I didn't go to university here, so I did it
Yeah.
somewhere else. But I'd have loved to have done that at Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about your experience there.
You know, the excitement was that the president will come
Yeah.
and you got to shake his hand. So in the excitement, waiting, then, you know, you come in, sit down. And those days were very few. We all fitted in the great hall. Nice ceremony. Then they call you up to receive your certificate. And it felt good, you know, and you got the chance to shake. It was Flight Lieutenant Rawlings who was at our graduation, and we were all excited to go and shake his hand. And you know, I had to return to Accra that day. So as soon as the graduation ceremony was over, I was in a hurry to leave to Accra. Then a friend says, "Oh, so won't you even take one picture?" So then I just stood there, we took that picture, and that is the only picture I have of that I have of that graduation.
I see. Is it still with you?
Oh, yes, yes. And then we had to think about national service, and we all praying we would not be taken to a place where we couldn't cope. Yeah.
I see. So we've come to you as a professional. So you started off as a little girl, born in Accra, as a little a girl. You lived in Kumasi too, came back to Accra when your dad came back from France, where he lectured in, and went to University of Ghana, where he lectured in French. He became a member of parliament in the Second Republic. You lived on the University of Ghana campus. Then you moved to Tishinungwa. You went to secondary school at Ivory Girls and Okwapaman for sixth form. You were the girls' prefect. You went to America before that, AFS, the American Field Service. Spent your time in Wisconsin, Kamala Harris's Wisconsin, if I'm right. And yeah, and you talked a lot about that, and I'm just going over it for our listeners to know that I've got Gladys Adinyara, who is a top-notch sculptor and creative, and she's got more to tell us about. So, what's the next song? Celebration by Kool and the Gang, which was a must listen to or must dance to in the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
Okay.
Z 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, nurture, and business radio.
It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright, baby. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. It's alright.
Z 101.9 FM.
Celebration by Kool and the Gang.
Yeah.
One of the favorite selections of my guest, Gladys Adinyara, who is a creative, a sculptor. She's been telling us a wonderful story of her life journey through several places: Kumasi, Accra, Kumasi, Wisconsin. Okwapaman is in Akropong, is it?
Apropos, yes.
That's right. And back to Kumasi, and she's now qualified, and so that's why I think she decided to select Celebration by Kool and the Gang, which we all used to dance to in the 80s. So you started, you'd graduated, you'd got your your scroll, you go to your convocation, you'd shake in the hands of Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, and the world was now your oyster. So tell us about the journey from tech, after tech.
After graduation.
Yeah.
Even before graduation, a group of us had an exhibition at the then Indutech.
Right.
Well,
At the
I
trade
forget-
fair site.
At the trade fair site.
Yes. The
So-
Industrial and Technology Fair.
Yes,
Yeah.
Indutech. So after school, I decided to have an exhibition. So I had a solo exhibition at the National Museums,
Right.
and quite successful. In those days, you had to look for fabric and make a stencil and print the announcement on it and hang it, go around Accra and hang it in places. That was successful, and I wanted to be an artist and try to develop the career in that vein,
Yeah, you wanted to be a professional artist.
professional artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And growing up, back to Teshinungwa, there was a lady, Madame Charlotte Hagan.
Yes.
She had
Auntie Charlotte.
Auntie Charlotte. She
Yeah.
had an art gallery in her house with Kofi, Akwete Kofi, the carver.
Yes.
So they had that gallery together. That was another source of inspiration. So I realized that you could have a gallery in your home, you could work from home. So when I started having exhibitions, I had one at the National Museum, Du Bois Center. Then, the response, the response from visitors to the exhibition was not encouraging. Sometimes they would equate the price of the artwork to, someone ever said, this amount of money, how many balls of kenke can I buy with that? I was so offended.
Right.
And I said to him, if you are equating the artwork with kenke, then you shouldn't be here. You don't know what you are.
That's
why
an
you-
Aburi girl's stern response.
Yes, how can you equate that artwork and kenke? So it was a struggle trying to be a professional artist. So along the line, after we had to wait a few months to be posted.
Oh,
after
I
school.
see. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So when I
yes.
started the exhibitions, then the posting came. I was first posted to Ningo Secondary School. My father drove me there. But when we got there, they had expected that the school would expand so they could take more people and they would start doing visual art. But that didn't happen because turns out the school at the time was a building that was donated to the town by someone from the town. So he couldn't expand it for them. So we had to come back to Accra because they said they didn't need the visual art teacher anymore. So we came back to Accra, and then you had to be reposted. Then the late Efo Kojo Maugbe visited
Right.
us. He's a family friend. He was in Maoli school with my older sisters, MFI and Kafui. And he said, oh, wouldn't you like to be in work with a Bibi Groma? Because on Tech Campus, I was in drama.
Right.
And he knew that. They had come to do a few performances and we were there with them. And I said, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind. So I take the forms to Bibi Groma that week, and then...
Now tell us about Abibi Groma, because there are people out there, I'm sure, who don't know what Abibi Groma is.
Bibi Groma is the resident theater company of Ghana.
All right.
At the time, they were at the School of Performing Arts.
Right.
But when the National Theatre was completed, they moved, like a section of them moved to start the Bibi Groma in the National Theatre. So now they are the National Theatre. I'm not aware whether they are still at the School of Performing Arts.
But there were two of them.
Yes, there were two Bibi Groma groups. And then the dance ensemble. And this group was, for me, exciting because I was around something I loved doing, being on stage. I was employed specifically to be the set designer and costume designer. But then we would understudy characters just in case. So we went through a whole host of the plays, you know, rehearsals. We had a trip to the north, which I didn't survive. I had to by the time we came back from Tamale to Kumasi, I had to come back to Accra because I was falling sick. So in those days, imagine 89, the roads were bad. I don't know what it's looking like today, but then I said to myself that this is not fair. If another part of the country is like this, I felt I wasn't even in Ghana. So I kept falling sick, and I had to return to Accra. And Bibi Groma also improved my stage presence, like to stand on stage, stage right, stage, you know. So it all helps in being able to stand before people and make a presentation. And sometimes my kids say my voice is too loud. When you are speaking, say it's too loud. I said it's from performances. Every girls has
your
drama,
stage voice.
stage voice. So, and I teach. So I've learned to project. So you hear me wherever you're seated in the class. So that was a Bibi Groma. And up to date, I'm still in touch with the
But
Bibi
you were a
Groma.
sculptor, so I know you were doing set design.
Mm-hmm.
So how did it, sculpture, drama, you didn't need figures, you didn't
Mm-hmm.
need sculptures. So how did you do that? How did it also help your vocation?
I'm still in the creative space.
Okay,
Still in the creative
that's
space.
very fair.
Yes, still in the creative space. And I was acting since Every Girls. And like I said, I would have gone to the School of Performing Arts.
Right.
And so I was in a comfortable space. And,
All right.
you know, the songs and the dances and so on. And then in building the sets was also a 3D thing for me. And I worked with Dr. Osajiman on those sets and the designing the clothes. And it's still in the creative space. You know, you read the script and design the clothes that will fit this character or that character. Design the space that will fit what the story is saying. It could be you determine the location and try to recreate the location in the story. So it was still in the creative space. And then on the side, I would be doing my artworks. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
You
So-
still had your little studio
Yes.
where
At
that
home
was.
where
Yeah.
I was still creating my works.
And how did your parents feel about you sometimes muddying up the place with your...
I would say, thanks to them, my parents were very, they let you do what you wanted to do. They encouraged you to do what you wanted to do best. I remember my mother used to say that even if you be a shoemaker, make sure you are the best shoemaker in Accra. So whatever you wanted to do, they encourage you to do it. Even when I did sculpture and some people went as far as going to tell my mother that I had chosen something that was meant for men. But my father asked me, are you sure you can do it? I said, yes, sir. If you can do it, then go ahead. So for me, that was a good thing for me because I knew that in some homes, it was difficult to do what you really love to do. So I felt lucky. And my mother encouraged me to use the house as a gallery. So at a point, I operated a gallery from my home in Teshinongwa Estates to a certain point. And then, you know, other things coming, you start doing work, and that was it. So as I was in a Bibi Groma, I was doing my artworks on the side and trying hard to sell and have exhibitions. You know, those days you had to walk. You had to go physically to the hotels and ask them if they could give you space. Some of them even meant paying for that space and so on. And it was, you know, you stacked letters and was going from Tema to Accra, just distributing, asking sometimes even for funding to do an exhibition, a group exhibition. It was hard. And the creative space is very challenging, and you need extra, an extra hold on yourself to be able to be in it full time. So I always say that those art students who went full time as artists, I applaud them, because it's not easy. It's not easy getting your work sold and all that.
So how long do you spend with Abibigroma?
Abibigroma was, I think, a year or two, 89 to 91, because we'd done a year after A levels.
Oh, so it was your national service that you were doing with the Abibigroma?
Yes, national service.
So it wasn't a
after tech.
full-time job per se?
No, national service.
Okay. So let's get to the full-time job.
First full-time job after graduation was teaching in Ebri Girls. I went back to my school.
You went back to school.
I
Boy.
went back to my school to teach. I taught in Ebri Girls for 2 academic years.
What did you teach?
I was teaching art.
So you were
I
the
was
art
teaching
mistress.
art, yes. I was teaching art. And, sometimes when a student cannot decide on what to do, or some of the elective courses, no one wants certain students in their class because they know they are not going to do well, they're just going to be trouble. And you find those students being brought to the art department. And I'm proud to say that, those students who were brought to me like that, in the end, everyone wanted to see their works, because if you come into my class, you come into my space, there are rules. You do what I tell you, and you are learning. You are not born with it. You came here knowing nothing. So you will learn it. And it was always successful. And I felt very proud of that. That you can teach the person, even the student realized that, oh, wow, now I'm doing well. I can actually paint. And that for me was fulfilling.
Now, here you are. You went to Ebri Girls, so you're back there. What was it like? What was it like? I mean, yeah, you told us about the fact that you worked with your students and you made sure that they succeeded even when they didn't want to and all that.
Yeah.
But what was it like going back to the school that you went to as a teacher?
Yeah. It was familiar ground. I knew the rules by heart. And for me, going back, I thought some of the rules had relaxed. No, when we were here, it was always, when we were here, we're not doing this. When we're here, we're not doing this. But then you had to look at it again and realize that this is another generation.
Right.
And you had to approach certain things differently. Then it will be accepting to them. So I had to learn to talk to them in a certain way, firm but nice. You knew that you would not get away with anything around me.
If you were a slacker.
I punish them and I'm sitting on a chair waiting, and you are working and we are chatting. Yeah, and for one thing, my son told me that he met someone who had been my student, and he said, the person said, oh, she was very firm, she was very strict, but she was fair. And I said, I like that. At least they know I was fair. You wouldn't, no one was going to get away with anything. And it was good. It was familiar ground. I wanted the young ladies I met there to come out having certain values that I was taught whilst I was there. So it was a good experience.
We're on ZFM 101.9. The program is I Have a Story to Tell, and my guest is Gladys Adinyora, who is a creative and a sculptor, because I always have to add the creative, because she's done so many different forms of art and creativity. She's actually acted. And she's done set design, she's sculpted, and now we're at the time that she was a teacher at her alma mater, Eburi Girls. And so you spent 2 academic terms,
Yeah.
years, sorry, in Eburi Girls.
Yes.
And then what happened afterwards?
After Eburi Girls, I tried being a sculptor again, and then I went to Norway to do an MPhil in education,
I see.
because now I realized I loved the teaching, so I wanted to go into that. So on returning, I've taught in, name it, almost every international school in Ghana.
So you spent a year in Norway.
I actually spent about 5 years. You know,
5 years.
first you have to learn the language.
Okay.
Then you started the course. And then you had a year to come home to collect data and go back and finish. So it took time.
So what was it like? Because I know about Norway. It's a cold
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
But the people are, well, they're phlegmatic, but they are kind-hearted, from what I gathered when I went to Oslo and all that. So
Yeah.
tell us about it.
The language was the first thing you had to overcome, because the lessons were going to be in Norwegian.
Right.
But lucky for me, when I was admitted, that year they decided that they would now start an English program. So you didn't need to learn the language first. But even at the time they were making this decision, I had done the 1 year of language already. So I started the MPhil.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, like you said, they are kind-hearted people. They wouldn't, a Norwegian wouldn't want you to say they are being racist.
Right.
So they're going to be nice when you are around. The elderly engage you a lot, especially on the bus, you know, meet them at the bus stop, on the bus, in the shops. And the young people were too busy for anything, always on the move. And it was cold. I couldn't wait to come back home. 9 months of winter. Can you imagine?
And the darkness.
The darkness. You know, you're going to school, it's dark. You're coming back, it's dark. You lost the sense of time, and you craved the sun. And you covered up, even your face was covered, it was only your eyes showing. So when you met someone on the path from school, you didn't even know who it was unless you knew the person's jacket. I know that this person wears this jacket. It was too cold.
So, but what did the course entail, the MPhil course?
It was on educational theories, basically finding ways to teach different types of students. Some students are visual, some are hands-on. Some students will do better if you took them outside and taught them, because the nature was good for them, the comfort zone. So you found different ways to teach the same thing. So if I'm teaching you to draw a face, I know that you would understand it better if I modeled it. You would grasp it easier than if I was just making sketches on paper.
Right.
So that, the different methods you can use to teach the same thing to the different students you would have in your class.
Was it an eye-opener going to a country which was different from yours? Because naturally we come from the British system, and the Norwegian system is definitely different from the British system.
Yeah.
So was it an eye-opener, and what did you learn that was different from what you'd been brought up on?
The main thing was the resources that were available to you, the research resources, and your lecturers were also available. You could easily reach them, email, and so on. And at the time, that was 94, 95, the School for the Deaf were already using phones where you would see your face. So then they could sign on the phone. It had this big red light. So when it's ringing, the light is flashing. So they know it's ringing. And I felt that for those with those learning disorders, challenges, they were so resourced that they could also come out, graduate, and fit in. And they are employed in mainstream.
Nobody went to waste.
No.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. Nobody went to waste. So you go into an office, you can find someone physically challenged or, visually impaired, and he's sitting there and doing the work like anybody else because the resources are there, which was not here at the time. I don't know about now, whether these schools are resourced. Like
We'll
that.
talk about that. But tell us, continue telling us.
And then I come back from Norway and still determined to work as an artist, have a gallery. So that was when I started the gallery in the house at Teshinungwa Estates. And tried a few exhibitions. After about 2 years, I decided, hey, let me look for a job. So I looked for a teaching job. And I started teaching first the Roman Reed School to Tama International School, East Airport International, Morning Star School, Lincoln Community School. And at the moment, I do a part-time at the International Community School in Medina.
Now, why have you concentrated on international schools, which are really upmarket schools? Is there a reason for it?
It was easier for me. That's funny. It was easier for me to get employed in those schools than in the Ghanaian system, because in the Ghanaian system, they expected you to have, what certificate did they call it? They expected you to have certain certificates. And when you came in, they were going to start you from, they say, entry level. So even though you had an MPhil, you're going to start salary at entry level, and it took years to climb. Even at the time when I came back, Dr. Ibn Chambers was at the ministry.
Yeah.
And I think I took some applications there too. So when I met him, he said, you know what? It is something that he was trying to change, because he said a lot of them come like that. They've gone abroad, they've studied, they want to work, they want to help here. But here, it's
The system.
entry level. That is how it is structured. So it was frustrating. Then I started looking at the international schools. They were looking at your skill, what you
Yes.
come and do. Yes.
Yeah.
So that is how come I went that way. Because then over there you had to learn a new system. It's either British system or American system. Yeah.
We're on I Have a Story to Tell. That's the program on the air now. And I'm your host. My name is Fritz Bafour. My guest is Gladys Adinyara, who's a creative, a sculptor. But you see, as a son of a teacher and a grandson of a teacher, I've got to say she's also a teacher, an educationist.
Yeah.
And she's been telling us about her journey, her life journey, which started in Accra, where she was born, spent some few years in Kumasi, early years, came back, lived on the University of Ghana campus, then moved to Teshinungwa with her dad, who was a lecturer, at one time a politician, and then she went to Iburi Girls, and then Okwapiman for sixth form. She became the girls prefect. She did her sixth form national service at the time when they were doing that. at Dungwa Secondary School, and then she went to KNUST, where she graduated as an artist with a specialization as a sculptor. Then she told us a story of working for Ibigruma for a second national service. Then she spent some time in Norway. 5 years is a lot of time to spend away. And before I continue, I want to ask you, the art forms in Norway, did they influence any of your any aspects of your creativity?
Definitely.
Yeah, tell us.
Definitely. It was refreshing to see almost everywhere the monuments, huge. You know, you felt there were artists in this town, because sometimes even in a year or 2 years, you'd find new ones, or some are replaced. I don't know whether they move them around, but they are replaced or new ones come, and it's everywhere. You go to the shopping center, it's all there. They have these trolls that they create, and it's everywhere. Sometimes they put it in corners, so you turn the corner and it's right there, as if to frighten you.
Yeah.
You know, it was everywhere. So it also helped me to appreciate sculpture more and what we could do with sculpture.
Its impact on an environment, yes.
Yes, it changes the
because
landscape.
they don't play with their sculptures at all. Everywhere you go, you see sculptures all over.
Yes.
And they are iconic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And they appreciate their artists. You know, they celebrate them. In the newspaper, you always see one name or another being celebrated. And I felt that they promoted their artists more over there.
Okay. Now, as I said, we're on ZFM 101.9. It's Gladys who's telling us about her life's journey as a creative, an artist, a sculptor, an educationist, and everything. What is her next selection? Jigbodi?
Jigbodi.
Which means hope. Am I right?
Jigbodi is Jigbodi
is it faith? I don't
Patience.
know. Patience. All right.
That's the word.
So it's Epe.
Yes.
So Jigbodi is
Patience.
patience. I said hope.
Yeah.
Pardon me, all my friends in the Volta region. I'm not mangling your language, but I know that patience is Epe. So Jigbodi by the Winneba Youth Choir.
Z 101.9 FM. Z 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Z 101.9 FM.
Jigbodi by the Winneba Youth Choir. Jigbodi means patience. But all the lovely ever girls I've met called patience, we call them Ipe. And I love it because there's something very sexy about the Ipe. When you choir, they turn around and look at you and say, Ipe, beautiful. But that's the reason, patience. And that was a selection by Gladys Adinyara, who is my guest on this program. I have a story to tell where she's telling a wonderful story of her travels. She's told us about what she did in Ghana, the university she went to, the things that happened to her at the university, and then she'd been to America, another experience, and then Norway. And she was telling us about what she learned, the influence of her years in Norway helped her creative juices simmer into something worthwhile. And she was talking about how they celebrated their artists. And as we go along, we're going to talk about Ghana. You've been teaching. You've actually got your studio and your gallery.
Yeah.
We say in Ghana that tourism is going to be one of the big revenue earners for our country.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have on offer is that it's our culture. We can't compete with South Africa and East Africa when it comes to the flora and fauna. We don't have the savannah. We have the savannah with the big creatures like lions and what have you. And, though we have elephants here, but they're hidden in the forest. So it's our culture. What makes Ghanaians is that we are people with the diverse people of Ghana have got very, very, very rich culture. And yet we don't seem to encourage in a way that is solid and affects the Ghanaian positively, our culture. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, I think that we find ourselves here because we do not have a national, should I say a policy, that works our culture into the education. Going to school in America, they don't care about Ghana. The school curriculum is based on America, American culture, who you are as an American, what is around you. We, on the other hand, learn about other people, and that has become us. That is what we have learned is cultures. That is what we have learned as what people do. Our culture comes in when we come home. And then, you know that when I meet an older person, I have to greet, I have to. But then if it is not part of your learning, it is diminishing. You know, if, for example, and I always found this thing quite funny. They have signs in the school say, don't speak vernacular. It's, so when am I supposed to speak it? You must speak it and know yourself in that language. Then you can translate it somewhere else. You know, when we were in school and these rules were enforced, speak only English, I thought it was fine. But where I sit now as an educator, having gone round, I realized that it was not the best thing we could have done for ourselves. That we never made who we are what we were teaching. And I think that to be able to promote it, the culture, and reflect who we really are to the outside world, we must start putting that in the very things we are taught in school. Otherwise, it's lost.
The who are we factor is very, very important, especially when we say we are Ghanaians.
Yes.
And we don't know who we are.
Yeah. And for some West Africans who come to Ghana, they keep saying we are too westernized. We are too westernized. And, you know, when they say that, then it prompts you to observe it. And it's true. You know, so for me, if it's not put inside what you are teaching that child from day one in school, it's lost. It's lost.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how we're going to be able to do that. Today, earlier in the morning, I was watching our TV, and there was a program, I won't mention the name because I don't want to be unfair to the producers. And I realized that there's certain things that are not taught in our educational system, which should be part of our educational system. Because if you go to Russia, I mean, ballet and dance is part of their educational curriculum. And in Britain too, you know, it's a big thing. But we seem to have this as an aside, you know what I mean, as a leisure product, rather than something that we've got to learn to enhance ourselves. And it's disturbing. There's another thing you mentioned, that you're a sculptor.
Yeah.
A sculptor, and you do sculptures.
Yes.
Yeah. And you said when you were in Norway, you saw the evidence of creative work as part and parcel of their daily life, because you've got sculptures everywhere of famous people, of ideas and things like that. We don't seem to have that here, do we?
No.
Why?
Because we do not see the essence. We do not see the essence of it. If where you have these sculptures in the part of the landscape, they understand what it is. They understand what it is doing. They know the message they want to put across. They know what they want to teach the younger generation. I do not believe, from my experiences going around the city, even out of Accra, that the art presence can be felt. It is mainly the monuments you see of some people who may have been part of independence. We do not have so-called leisure monuments, or monuments to just uplift you, something that is entertaining, you know, even just for the aesthetics. It's hardly there. So it is, it's non-existent. And someone said, why would we be thinking about putting up monuments when you haven't done your roads. And for me, it is neither here nor there. That monument in that space is affecting a certain conversation to start. It's affecting a conversation to be had, which would enhance the community, which helps the community to grow, the community to come together. That one sculpture, for example, could be the meeting point in the community. It brings people together. So it is something that must be looked at again, and we must see more of that. We must see more of that.
Yeah, you know, I believe that Ghanaians are very creative people, but they hide their light on a bushel. All right, because we look at that wonderful presidential chair in Parliament when there's a State of the Nation address. That's the only time we see it and it's brought out. But we've got this also wonderful monument, the Arch of Independence, which is a wonderful thing. And I wanted to compare it to, everybody talks about when you go to London, people will tell you, have you been to Trafalgar Square? But when you go to Trafalgar Square, the most dominant thing is Lord Nelson, who was an admiral and a war hero and all that. And it's there to inspire, because I'll be honest with you, when I see the arch, the Independence Arch, I'm inspired because, you know, I was born before independence, but I see March 6th, 1957, and I know that it belongs to us, it's part of what I am. So how do you go about trying to inculcate that kind of presence, creative presence in our society today, with all the hassles that we're getting from the media, social media and all that, which is influenced mostly from outside?
I believe that if for me, it's all policy. This is what we want to do with the creatives. This is what we want our environment to look like. The landscape in the city must have these things to inspire people. For example, Yasantua, in the center of it, anytime you pass that, it inspires you. Like you said, the arch is, for me, when I pass there, it's another sense of pride. Proudly Ghanaian, they say. Yeah, so seeing it represents something in you, something that you'd want to be proud of. So if it is decided for me, it can be done. It doesn't take much. The sculptors are there, the artists are there, those who would decide the landscape where it should be are there. But another thing, sometimes when some of these things are initiated, the professionals are not consulted. I have seen artwork in places where I've wondered, oh my goodness, whose idea was this? Because for an artwork to be effective, you want someone's portrait, for example, in a place where I'm not driving past at 100 kilometers. It should be in a place where perhaps I'm walking, I can stop and look at it, read the plaque. You know, what materials have you used that would make it permanent? But some of the works are just falling off. And I wonder what materials were used to do it. So if you are doing a project, get the professionals to do it so that they can come up with the right concepts that will be more effective, rather than just putting an image somewhere and everyone is passing and say, what is this? What does this mean? What? Yeah. Because before you put up a monument anywhere, we've done research. They are going to look into the story, what has been done here before, what hasn't been done. But because even for some sculptures are offensive to the community. So you do a lot of research before you put it out there. So by the time it's coming out there, sometimes you discuss it with stakeholders. And it's changed till you get the perfect design for that space. So you don't put things anywhere. I see sculptures in places where it's overgrown with trees. And I'm wondering, who is taking care of this thing? You can't even see it. So it is, you know, I feel there's no one who is responsible for that. Because the monument is put there, and I wonder who takes care of it. Very soon, around it is becoming a bush, and then it overgrows and covers everything, and no one is looking at it.
Yeah, we're on ZFM 101.9. The program is I Have a Story to Tell. And our guest on the program is Gladys Adinyara, who's an educator, a sculptor, a creative. She's so many things. And she's been around the world. She's gone to America, Norway. She's got an MPhil and even more than that. And she's taught in various schools. And she's telling us about her life journey. And now we're talking about policy. But one thing I wanted to ask you is that I've noticed that the creatives in Ghana are not united. We don't work in unison. And so I think that could be the problem. Because if we don't have a collective voice, how then can we make an impact on society or get people to listen to us?
I was part of the Visual Arts Association. We tried to meet several times, which was very difficult. And it's difficult with the visual artists.
Why is it difficult?
Because I don't need the next person to do my work. I can sit in my studio, do my work. But for other disciplines, example, an architect, he would need a quantities guy to come and do something for him. They have all these others that come together to make that. With us, I can decide to be in my studio alone to do it. So it makes it difficult for me to want to come and be in a group with you and try and achieve something, unless we come together for a particular project, and when we are done, we all go back. Because there again, I have my style of doing something. You have your style of doing it. So coming together is made possible if it's a huge project and you are assigned the spaces to work. And then I believe that the Visual Arts Association, I don't know now whether it is the visual artists who came together to do it, but the government is government has not taken it on. And
political will.
Yes. So if this is, for example, I remember in Kufuor's tenure, he there was a fund that was for creatives. And as a visual artist, most of the time when I hear them talk about creatives, or they say artists, they're talking about musicians and actors. The visual artists, and they are all not part of it. They say they are doing something creative, it's the musicians. Maybe because they have been able to have a group that is recognized. But for the rest of us, we are not that recognized. And these are some of the things.
But I remember as a young man that we had the Arts Council, all right, which I think later on was transformed into the National Commission on Culture. But the Arts Council at that time, embraced a lot of the great Ghanaian artists like Antwam and, Oku Ampofo and all the rest. Don't you think we should revisit it so that at least the voice is heard? I know that visual artists can be solitary creatures, but you do need to have a narrative that comes from a common source of lobby group.
Yeah.
Because,
so if, for example, Arts Council, and we all know that, for example, you have to be a member there. Then you are doing projects together. But otherwise, if that is not happening, you are always using your money to do something, or you get a contract and you face that one contract and that is it. You know. So there's no, we do not have a recognized space where government monitors, where there's funding to do these projects. Sometimes the visual artists themselves will go around, find companies to sponsor something, and then they do it. And that doesn't happen too often.
Well, here we are on ZFM 101.9. We've got a superlative artist, Gladys Adeniran, and her story has been a wonderful one. And as we say, we always intersperse our program with music. So what's the fifth song, I think? Oh, Redemption Song. You know, this has been played by at least two of our guests. Yes, okay, let's go. And it's very apt with what we're saying.
Z 101.9 FM.
Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs.
Z 101.9 FM.
Redemption.
Evocative and magnificent voice of Bob Marley and Redemption Song was the fifth selection by my guest, Gladys Adeniran, who is a creative, a sculptor, an educator, and a wonderful human being, from what I gathered. Girls Prefect of Okapaman, president of Hall at KNUST. So she must be a bossy boots, but I'm not going to ask her about that. It's been fascinating. We've got so much to talk about, but even 2 hours is not long enough. And I'm very happy and privileged that you've been able to sit with us, and we've gone through various strands of your life, and I hope it inspires others. I'd like you to close with a word of advice to the young ones, the young up-and-coming next generation of Ghanaians, because I see that they've got a lot to offer, but they've got to come together in a certain way to achieve wonders.
For the creatives, as you were saying, you work alone, so you want to stay alone. I advise that you come together in groups and lobby for what you want. And in coming together, you become a stronger force. So you can get things done for you. And then for young people, up and coming young people, you start something and have the patience to see it grow. You know, you cannot expect to achieve what someone has used 30 years to achieve. You start from a humble beginning, you nurture it, see it grow, and the success will come. And above all, you trust in the Lord, because you cannot do it on your own. The Lord is a strong tower. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. We run into it and we are saved. So let your God be your pillar and be honest. Have integrity. Let people say about you that, oh no, she could never do that. Have your integrity. Don't sell your integrity cheap. Have that integrity and be honest.
I'd like to thank you very much, Gladys, for coming on my program. I wish you well in your endeavors, and I think that you'll always make your mark on the Ghanaian psyche. Thank you, and God bless. And this is Fritz Parfor saying goodbye, and same time next week on the same dial, 101.9 ZFM. This is Fritz Parfor saying goodbye from I Have a Story to Tell, the program that inspires and uplifts.
What's up? Coming out of the ghetto where the gunshot always a echo. You don't know? Hear the road boy crack. Oh, hey, Ujanku Bonnet.